Meanwhile, take a look at this photo of John McCain on the cover of Atlantic Monthly magazine. Photographer Jill Greenberg bragged that in the photo shoot she deliberately took unflattering shots of the Republican presidential candidate, and she said she tried to make his skin look bad and his eyes were red as well. Now it's time for our patented pundit pit. Today, former vice presidential candidate and Fox News contributor Geraldine Ferraro, National Review editor Rich Lowry, and former Clinton pollster Bernard Whitman. Good morning to you all, to the pundit pit.
I like the overhead shot to make us look like we're in a pit.
It's kind of like a helicopter. Let's start with that. So this woman, Jill Greenberg, Bernard, gets hired by The Atlantic to make these pictures. She's been, if you Google her, you could find out that she's clearly anti-Bush for a very long time. Is that the person you would hire to take these pictures? Because on her website, she also has a bunch of them where McCain looks like he's dripping blood from fangs and stuff like that.
No, I mean, I certainly wouldn't. But, I mean, look, it's hard to feel sorry for The Atlantic Monthly. You should vet your photographers. The truth is, though, that the shot on the cover of The Atlantic Monthly is actually a pretty good shot. And this is, from my perspective, just another one of these ridiculous stories that is taking attention away from, I think, one of the real problems that we've got to talk about in this election.
Rich Lowry, I've never seen a bad picture of Barack Obama on the cover of anything. No. But we do see a lot of them of John McCain.
A lot of the magazine covers of Barack Obama, there's a vague halo floating over his head. This is a pretty unflattering shot. It seems to be, the best of the pictures that she took. But The Atlantic should be embarrassed about this. They are embarrassed about this. They've said they really feel badly they let themselves get in this situation.
Jerry, I'll give you 15 seconds because we're going to commercial.
Well, what we expect is we expect journalists and photographers, if they're reporting on a campaign, to be nonpartisan, to be objective, and that obviously is not what this photographer was, and I think that that's wrong.
All right. More with the pundits in the pundit pit in just a moment. Also, we're going to talk about this. Barack Obama has attacked John McCain. Okay, we're back with former vice presidential candidate and Fox News contributor Geraldine Ferraro, National Review editor Rich Lowry, and former Clinton pollster Bernard Whitman right over there in the pundit pit. Meanwhile, let's take a look real quickly at some of the battleground states. Right now, McCain is leading in Michigan. McCain is leading in Ohio as well. As we continue to look, in Pennsylvania, McCain is leading, and in Virginia, McCain is leading, and in Colorado, McCain is leading. Of course, as you can see, all of them are probably within the margin of error, just a couple apart. All right, meanwhile, let's continue with the pundit pit. And this is cozy. I like this. There's an ad that came out on Friday that from Barack Obama that talked about how John McCain, he's old school. He doesn't even know how to email. Well, as it turns out, Jake Tapper over at ABC News discovered that apparently some of the injuries that he sustained as a POW have prevented him from doing that. He does check websites and stuff like that, but it hurts if you do it for a long time. Rich Lowry, you would think that somebody over at the Barack Obama campaign would have simply Googled it because the Boston Herald did a story about it, Forbes did a story about it. This is out there.
Yeah, this is
making fun of somebody's disability.
There could be major blowback on this ad. And what I've seen McCain quoted often saying is that Cindy does the emailing, and he kind of does it verbally with her, which would be consistent with typing being uncomfortable with him. But the Obama people got to be real careful here because it's going to look as though they're criticizing him for his war injuries.
Yeah. Let me just add one thing, though, and that's that if you're taking a look at those states that you just went through, what people are saying is that Obama has to reach out to Hillary supporters, those who were blue-collar, older, working people.
Emailers?
A lot of them are not emailers. My husband doesn't have a clue on how to email. So in some instances, it's generational.
So you help your husband as Cindy McCain helps her husband.
Well, his secretary helps him more than I do.
Oh, I see.
But let me just also say one other thing that you were saying before that Jesus was a carpenter. No, Jesus was a teacher, and he was a teacher,
but he was also a carpenter, son of carpenter,
and he was the son of God.
But Jerry, he was not a community organizer.
He was not a community. But
how does it feel to get schooled from the pundit pit, Steve?
Let me also tell you that a lot of Catholics and a lot of those Catholics there are like me, a little bit offended by the fact that that's become part of this campaign.
Sure, absolutely.
It is just a problem. So those are two things that they should look at, and look at those undecided and be a little bit concerned about how they're addressing them.
But what's missing from this campaign is any real discussion about the economy. I mean, we did not hear one word in St. Paul about what John McCain would do as president to solve the economic crisis.
He drilled. We know that.
Well, drill.
That's a step in the right direction.
The American people need to understand what his plan is. Can we really afford 4 more years of neglect when we have Lehman Brothers going bankrupt, Merrill Lynch being sold at a fire sale. We've got to return this conversation to Barack Obama versus John McCain. He's not running against Sarah Palin.
To say we didn't hear
presidency.
one word about McCain's economic policy at St. Paul is just wrong. McCain had a long passage in his own speech about that. But I do think you're right. I think the McCain folks need to emphasize substance more. And this week would be a great time to do it because you have turmoil in Wall Street. And what is Barack Obama's plan? Higher capital gains taxes and higher dividends taxes on dividends. Let's have an argument about that.
The middle class.
And John McCain said no bailout for Wall Street. All right, Bernard and Rich and Geraldine Ferraro, we thank you all for joining us.
Thanks,
Round of applause for the pundit bit. That worked out really well. All right, Brian and Gretchen, what's coming up?